Okay, so you're thinking about a career in the arts and maybe want to know more about becoming an artistic director. Well, get ready, because it's a lot more than just picking plays or curating art for an exhibition.
It really is. Most people don't realize how much goes on behind the scenes.
Right. It's a role that requires serious creativity, but also organizational skills and leadership.
Yeah, it's a fascinating combo. And luckily, we've got some great info today from RoleCatcher, this career development platform. They have this super in-depth guide called Artistic Director, the Complete Career Guide. Have you had a chance to check it out?
I have, and it's packed with insights. What really struck me was how they emphasize this balance between artistic vision and leadership.
Uh-huh.
It's not enough to just have great pace. You need to be able to bring people together, manage
Yeah.
budgets, that sort of thing.
Exactly. It's almost like being a conductor, right? Instead of leading an orchestra, you're orchestrating this whole artistic ecosystem.
That's a great analogy.
Huh.
You need to understand how each instrument, or in this case, each department, contributes to the overall harmony.
And just like a conductor who can hear a wrong note, an artistic director needs to be able to spot potential problems before they become major issues, whether that's a budgetary concern or a creative conflict within the team.
And speaking of those creative conflicts, RoleCatcher dives into some of the challenges of the role. And that one really stood out to me. Can you imagine being caught in the middle of a disagreement between a brilliant but maybe slightly temperamental playwright and a director who has a very specific vision for how the play should be staged?
Oh, absolutely. Talk about a high-pressure situation. You've got these passionate artists, each with their own strong opinions, and it's the artistic director's job to somehow find a compromise, to channel that creative tension into something productive.
It takes some serious diplomacy skills. You need to be able to understand where everyone's coming from, advocate for the integrity of the art, and keep the whole production moving forward.
And you can't shy away from those tough conversations. You have to be able to give constructive criticism, set boundaries, and sometimes even make difficult decisions that might not make everyone happy.
It's a delicate balancing act, for sure. But when it works, when you find that sweet spot where creative vision and leadership align, it can lead to something truly extraordinary.
It's true, and I think that's what makes this role so rewarding. You're not just managing a business, you're shaping the cultural landscape, providing a platform for artists to share their work, and creating experiences that can move, inspire, and even challenge audiences.
Absolutely.
Right.
And RoleCatcher doesn't just gloss over the challenges either. They provide real-world examples and practical advice for how to navigate those tricky situations.
They do. Like, they break down the career path into three main stages: artistic assistant, junior artistic director, and senior artistic director. It's a helpful way to see how someone might progress in this field.
Okay, let's break that down a bit.
Yeah.
Let's start with the artistic assistant.
Yeah.
What does that role typically look like?
Well, think of it like an apprenticeship. You're just starting out, learning the ropes, supporting a more senior director. You might be taking notes during rehearsals, helping with administrative tasks, really just soaking up everything you can.
So you're getting a taste of all aspects of the job, from the creative to the logistical.
Exactly, and hopefully making some good connections along the way. It's all about building relationships in this industry.
Absolutely. And then you move up to junior artistic director. What are some of the key differences at that stage?
Well, at this level, you're starting to take on more responsibility. You might be curating parts of a season, collaborating directly with artists, even overseeing some staff and budget elements.
So you're moving from the wings to center stage, but you're not quite calling all the shots just yet.
Right. It's a chance to spread your wings a bit, develop your own artistic voice, but still with the guidance and support of a more experienced mentor.
That makes sense. And finally, you reach the pinnacle. Senior artistic director. What does that role entail?
This is the big leagues. You're setting the overall artistic vision for the entire organization. You're nurturing relationships with major artists, cultivating donors, ensuring the financial health of the institution. It's a huge responsibility, but also incredibly rewarding.
Sounds like it. And you're ultimately accountable for the success or failure of the organization.
That's right. It's a high-pressure, high-reward kind of role. And that's why it's so important to have a solid foundation in both the artistic and the business side of things.
Speaking of which, I was surprised by the range of degrees that RoleCatcher highlights as being relevant for aspiring artistic directors. It's not just about having a fine arts degree, is it?
It's not. Of course, a background in the arts is valuable, but they also emphasize degrees like business administration and even communication studies.
Really? So You're saying that someone with a business degree could potentially thrive in this role.
Absolutely. Remember, you're running an organization. You need to understand budgets, marketing, fundraising, all of that. A strong business sense is essential.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And what about communication studies? How does that tie in?
Well, think about all the different people an artistic director has to communicate with. Artists, donors, board members, the press. You need to be able to communicate your vision effectively, build relationships, and navigate potentially sensitive situations with diplomacy and tact.
So it's about more than just being a good talker. It's about being a skilled communicator who can tailor their message to different audiences.
Exactly. And that's just one example of the surprising range of skills and knowledge that are valuable in this role.
It's fascinating how much more there is to this role than meets the eye. RoleCatcher also delves into some specific skills they deem absolutely essential for artistic directors.
They do, and some of them might not be what you'd expect, like active listening, for example.
Active listening, that's interesting.
It is, right.
Hmm.
But when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. You're working with so many different people, all with their own ideas, their own passions, their own ways of seeing the world. If you're not truly listening to what they have to say, you're missing out on valuable insights and potentially creating unnecessary conflict.
It's about creating a culture of open communication where everyone feels heard and respected, even when there are disagreements.
Absolutely. And it's not just about listening to your team, it's also about listening to your audience, understanding what resonates with them, what moves them, what challenges them.
You need to have a finger on the pulse of the cultural landscape, anticipating trends, and understanding how to connect with audiences in meaningful ways.
Exactly. And that takes a lot of listening, observation, and empathy.
That's so true. What other essential skills does RoleCatcher highlight?
Let me see. Oh, here's an interesting one. Coordination.
Coordination. That sounds more like a skill for an air traffic controller than an artistic director.
Well, think about it. You've got rehearsals, exhibitions, fundraising events, marketing campaigns, all these moving parts that need to come together seamlessly. It's a constant juggling act.
It's like you're orchestrating a symphony of creativity, making sure all the instruments are in tune and playing in harmony.
And that takes incredible organizational skills, attention to detail, and the ability to keep a cool head when things inevitably get a little chaotic.
Which, let's be honest, is probably most of the time in the arts.
Yeah.
It's a fast-paced, ever-evolving world.
It is, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Absolutely. What else have we got on the essential skills list?
Okay, this one won't come as a surprise. Negotiation.
Negotiation. Yeah, that makes sense. You're constantly negotiating contracts, budgets, deadlines.
Exactly. Whether it's securing funding for a new production, negotiating contracts with artists, or even mediating those creative conflicts we talked about earlier, strong negotiation skills are a must-have for any artistic director.
You need to be able to advocate for your vision, understand the needs and motivations of the other parties involved, and find creative solutions that benefit everyone.
And sometimes that means saying no, walking away from a deal that's not in the best interest of the organization or the art itself.
Which can be tough, especially in a field where funding is often scarce and competition for resources is fierce.
It can be. But a skilled artistic director knows their worth, understands the value they bring to the table, and isn't afraid to stand firm in their convictions.
It's about finding that delicate balance between being a savvy negotiator and staying true to your artistic principles.
Exactly. You have to be willing to fight for what you believe in, but you also have to know when to compromise, when to pivot, when to explore alternative avenues.
And speaking of exploring alternative avenues, let's talk about the impact of technology on the arts.
Yeah.
This is a space where artistic directors really need to be on the cutting edge, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The digital revolution has completely transformed the way art is created, shared, and experienced. And for artistic directors, this presents both incredible opportunities and unique challenges.
I can imagine. On the one hand, you have access to a global audience like never before. With a single online performance or exhibition, you can reach millions of people around the world. But on the other hand, how do you monetize digital content in a way that sustains your organization and fairly compensates artists?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's something that artistic directors are grappling with every day.
It's like you need to be a visionary artist, a savvy entrepreneur, and a tech-savvy futurist, all rolled into one.
You really do. You need to understand how to leverage these new platforms effectively, how to engage audiences in meaningful ways, and how to stay ahead of the curve in an ever-evolving digital landscape.
And let's not forget the impact of technology on the creative process itself. We're seeing virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, all of these incredible tools being integrated into artistic disciplines in fascinating ways.
It's an exciting time to be working in the arts, that's for sure. But it also requires a certain level of adaptability and a willingness to experiment.
You need to be open to new ideas, new approaches, new ways of thinking about art and its role in the world.
Precisely. And that's one of the things I love most about this field. It's constantly evolving, pushing boundaries, challenging conventions. There's never a dull moment.
And for an artistic director, that constant evolution requires a unique blend of vision, leadership, and a willingness to embrace the unknown.
Absolutely. It's about being comfortable with ambiguity, embracing risk, and trusting your instincts.
Because sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead the most breathtaking artistic destinations.
Beautifully said.
It's true, though, isn't it?
Hmm.
The deeper you go into any field, the more you realize how much more there is to learn.
It never ends. And I think that's especially true in the arts.
Absolutely. There's always something new to discover, a different perspective to consider, a fresh approach to explore.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's a field that's constantly evolving, always pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's like you can never really master it. You're always a student, always learning and growing.
Exactly. And that's what I love about it. It keeps you on your toes, always challenging you to think differently, to see the world with fresh eyes.
So we've talked about the skills, the knowledge, the experience needed to be an artistic director.
Sure.
But what about the personal qualities? What are those intangible traits that set a successful artistic director apart?
That's a great question. It's like you can teach someone how to manage a budget or write a grant proposal,
Right.
but you can't teach them how to have vision, how to inspire a team, how to navigate the often turbulent waters of the creative world.
Exactly. So what are those intangible qualities, those almost magical traits that make a great artistic director?
Well, I think it starts with passion. You have to truly love the arts, believe in their power to transform lives, to inspire change, to connect us on a deeper human level.
Because if you don't believe in it, why should anyone else? Right.
Exactly. You have to be a cheerleader, an advocate, a champion for the arts, both within your organization and out in the world.
And that takes a certain level of fearlessness, when you say.
Mhm.
Because the art world can be tough, especially when you're trying to create something new and innovative.
It can be very challenging.
You're constantly facing rejection, criticism, budgetary constraints. You need to have a thick skin and an unwavering belief in your own vision, even when others doubt you.
Absolutely. Resilience is key. You have to be able to bounce back from setbacks, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving forward, even when it feels like you're swimming against the tide.
And you can't be afraid to take risks, right? Because the greatest art often comes from pushing boundaries, challenging conventions, and exploring uncharted territory.
Absolutely. A great artistic director encourages that kind of risk-taking, that willingness to experiment and explore, even if it means occasionally failing.
It's about creating a culture where failure isn't feared, but rather embraced as an opportunity for learning and growth.
Exactly. Because sometimes the most unexpected detours lead to the most incredible artistic discoveries.
It's true. You never know where inspiration might strike. But it takes a certain level of trust, I think, to allow that kind of creative freedom to flourish.
Trust in your team, trust in your instincts, and trust in the process. Because even when things get messy, even when you're not sure where you're going, there's a certain magic that happens when you surrender to the creative journey.
I love that. It's about letting go of the need to control everything, to have all the answers, and instead embracing the unknown, the unexpected, the truly innovative.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where anything feels possible, where artists feel empowered to take risks, and where the only limit is the power of their own imagination.
And that kind of environment, that spirit of creative exploration, starts with the artistic director.
It does. It's about setting the tone, fostering a culture of collaboration and innovation, and then getting out of the way and letting the magic happen.
But of course, you can't completely step away, can you? You still need to provide guidance, support, and maybe a little bit of course correction along the way.
Of course, it's a delicate balancing act for sure. You need to provide structure and guidance while also allowing for creative freedom and experimentation.
It's like you're a gardener, tending to a garden of creativity. You need to provide the right soil, the right amount of sunlight and water, and then trust that the plants will grow in their own unique and beautiful ways.
That's a beautiful analogy. And just like a gardener, a good artistic director knows when to prune, when to fertilize, and when to simply stand back and admire the beauty that's unfolding before their eyes.
Speaking of beauty unfolding, let's talk about the impact of technology on the arts. This is a space where artistic directors really need to be on the cutting edge, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. The digital revolution has completely transformed the way art is created, experienced, and shared with the world.
I mean, think about it. With a single click, you can now access a global library of art and culture, from live-streamed performances to virtual museum tours to interactive installations.
It's incredible, and it's created so many exciting new possibilities for artists to connect with audiences in meaningful ways.
But it's also created new challenges, right?
Hmm.
Like, how do you monetize digital content in a way that's sustainable for artists and arts organizations?
That's the big question, and there's no easy answer. But I think the key is to be adaptable, to experiment with different models, and to always be thinking about how to create value for your audience in this ever-evolving digital landscape.
It's about finding that sweet spot where artistic integrity and financial viability intersect, which isn't always easy.
It's not. But the good news is that there are so many talented and creative people out there working on innovative solutions. And I'm confident that we'll continue to find new and exciting ways to support and sustain the arts in the digital age.
I hope so, because the world needs art now more than ever. It has the power to connect us, inspire us, challenge us, and help us make sense of this increasingly complex world.
Couldn't agree more, and that's why the role of the artistic director is so important.
It is. They're the ones who help bring that art to life, who champion new voices, and who help shape the cultural landscape for generations to come.
They are the curators of creativity, the nurturers of talent, and the visionaries who help us see the world in new and unexpected ways.
It's true. They really do play a pivotal role. And speaking of pivotal resources, we've been exploring this world through the lens of RoleCatcher, right? Their guide for aspiring artistic directors has been super insightful.
It really has.
But RoleCatcher is more than just a guide, isn't it? It's this whole platform designed to support people in their career journeys, especially in the arts.
It is. It's like having a whole toolkit at your fingertips. They have everything from CV and resume templates to a massive database of interview practice questions.
Yeah, we talked about their interview prep section earlier. Over 120,000 practice questions. That's incredible. I can't imagine anyone going into an interview unprepared after going through all of that.
Right, and it's not just about the quantity of questions, it's the quality. They've really thought of everything, covering all sorts of scenarios and industries, including the arts.
And they've incorporated AI into their platform in a really smart way, which is something I always find fascinating.
Oh yeah, like their CV and resume analysis tool, that thing is a game changer, especially for anyone who's not super comfortable with the whole self-promotion aspect of job hunting.
Totally. You just upload your resume, and the AI gives you personalized feedback on how well it aligns with specific job descriptions.
It's like having a personal brand consultant on call 247.
Exactly. No more second-guessing whether your resume is hitting the right notes or if you're highlighting the right skills.
And let's not forget about their browser plugin, RoleCatcher.capture. Have you used that yet?
I have. It's so handy. You can save job postings from any website directly to your RoleCatcher account with just a couple of clicks.
It's such a time saver. No more endless bookmarking or emailing links to yourself, which I'm so guilty of.
I know, right? It's like they've really thought of everything to make the job search as painless as possible.
They really have. And the fact that they offer a free version of their platform is fantastic.
It is. It makes these valuable resources accessible to everyone, regardless of their budget or where they are in their career journey.
Exactly. Everyone deserves a chance to succeed, and RoleCatcher is helping to level the playing field by providing the tools and resources that were once only available to a select few.
It's like they're democratizing career development, which I love. And if you decide to upgrade to their paid subscription, you're not just paying for a platform, you're investing in your future.
Exactly. It's an investment in your career growth, your professional development, and your overall success in a competitive job market.
And I think that's a powerful message, especially for aspiring artists who might be hesitant to invest in themselves or who might underestimate the importance of those business skills we talked about earlier.
It's so true. Being an artist is not just about talent. It's about hard work, dedication, and yes, even a bit of business savvy. And RoleCatcher provides the tools and resources to help artists thrive in all aspects of their careers.
Well said. As we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to circle back to something you said earlier. You talked about the importance of creative fearlessness as being an essential quality for a successful artistic director. And I think that's such a powerful concept. Can you elaborate on that a bit more? What does creative fearlessness look like in action?
Well, it's about trusting your instincts, even when they lead you off the beaten path. It's about embracing risk, even when it means the possibility of failure. And it's about having the courage to champion new voices and unconventional ideas, even when they challenge the status quo.
Because sometimes those unconventional ideas are the ones that spark the most innovation, right?
Absolutely. The art world needs those rule breakers, those boundary pushers, those who are willing to color outside the lines and show us the world in a new light.
And it takes a certain level of fearlessness to be that person, to be the one who's willing to stand up and say, hey, let's try something different. Let's push the envelope. Let's see what happens.
It does. It takes guts to go against the grain, to challenge conventions, and to believe in something that others might not yet understand.
But when it works, when that creative leap of faith pays off, it can be magical. It can change the way we see the world, challenge our assumptions, and open our hearts and minds to new possibilities.
Exactly. And that's what makes the role of an artistic director so exciting and so important. They have the power to shape our cultural landscape, to amplify marginalized voices, and to inspire change through the power of art.
Beautifully said. And I think that's the perfect note to end on. So thank you, everyone, for joining us on this deep dive into the world of the artistic director. We hope you've gained some valuable insights, discovered some helpful resources, and perhaps even sparked a little creative fearlessness of your own along the way.